In the last couple of weeks, I have been banned from 2 so-called Democratic and liberal Facebook pages. My crime? Exercising my free speech and having the nerve to disagree with the accepted mantra of those who ran these so-called Democratic groups. What is a man like me to do in the face of censorship? This is We the People, and this is a Democratic Socialist Manifesto on free speech. Now, I have said in the first part of this series that democratic socialism, like any valid political viewpoint in the nation, has to be bound by the Constitution. In keeping with this idea, I have to go back to that document to clarify the subject matter. From the First Amendment, I quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an established religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition their government for a redress of grievances." End quote. Now, I'm going to skip the religion. That's going to take up a whole episode by itself. We'll also jump over freedom of the press and assembly and redressing your government. Let's just talk speech. Our Constitution provides that as Americans, we are free to voice our opinion on any subject, in any way, without hindrance. No law can be passed to inhibit our speech, period, full stop. This means that as Americans, we have the right to speak our minds, even when that speech is offensive or objectionable, even to another American. This right has been held up time and time again by the Supreme Court. Now, I personally can't stand Rush Limbaugh or Alex Jones, but these two idiots are the very definition of free speech. The same goes for that Milo moron and that racist alt-right buffoon whose name I won't mention. But I digress. As a democratic socialist, I am a hardline believer that the founding fathers who wrote that sacred document knew exactly what they were talking about, even though they had no idea what the alt-right was. Take George Washington, for instance. He said, and I quote, "If the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter." Benjamin Franklin said, "Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech." And the most telling of all quotes on this subject, again, Ben Franklin. "Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the free speech." Now, you might not like what I have to say. You may consider my thoughts and beliefs to be tyrannical, anarchist, heresy, or even downright insane. But you do not have the right to silence me. Our very democracy lies in the freedoms of the minorities who speak openly and freely to be able to redress their government and to debate the issues that confront our nation. You may not call yourself a Democrat or a liberal and disagree with this ideal. If you do, you are neither one. You're an authoritarian, and you are wrong, and you should be leaving this country because you do not belong here. but I'll let Bill Maher finish this statement for me.
Yeah, liberals hate bullying, all right, but they're not opposed to using it. When they casually throw out words like bigot and racist, it does cow people into avoiding this debate. And if you're doing that, you don't get to wear the Je suis Charlie button. The button you should wear says Je suis part of the problem. And that goes for everybody. This may surprise you, but I am not a big fan of Rush Limbaugh. However, if you're one of the people with a website devoted to making him go away, you are part of the problem. And ironically, you're not even a proper liberal because you don't get free speech. You're just a baby who can't stand to live in a world where you hear things that upset you. Oh, you're not alone. In much of Europe, denying the Holocaust is a crime. Everyone can always come up with a reason why the thing that bugs you should get a waiver. But free speech only works if there are no waivers. No waivers, including for religion.
Now, I'd like to end with a message to all Facebook moderators out there, especially those who call themselves liberals. The last group to ban me was a group called Real Progressives. Yeah, I'm going to call them out. You see, I violated their tenet. Don't disagree with them. And God forbid, don't malign the sacred Russian news agency, which I did by posting my last podcast in which I trashed the network. My issue isn't that with being banned by someone. My issue is that I was banned for the sin of disagreement. I was referred to as a troll for accusing the Russian news network to be propaganda. Really? Are the people over at Real Progressives so thin-skinned that they need a safe space to passively, aggressively attack other liberals for their opinions? You see, I'm a liberal as well. As a matter of fact, I would hazard a guess to say that I am probably more liberal than many of them. And yet, my opinion that Russia sends out propaganda was unbelievably offensive to them, and they had to get rid of me so that they could continue to listen to their wonderful Mr. Putin's opinion. Now, I'm pretty fucking hard left. But when so-called progressives don't like me speaking ill against the Putin News Network, I'm not the problem. You can bitch and moan at me personally at WTPAmerica@hotmail.com. Subscribe to the channel, goddammit. Visit the blog at WTPAmerica.org. And please become a patron at patreon.com/WTPAmerica. I'm Alan Garrett. This is We the People, exercising our free speech. Resist.